best of all time.
On a slot there with Patrick Davison and sounding like he's talking to him in a cloakroom of a nightclub. We can only presume that music is coming from the away dressing room. How do you think you would have reacted to that as a losing manager?
Listen, I'd be interested if the music is on when Pep's doing his talk. You know, we're talking Man City go there, they're entitled to enjoy themselves, but you also have to show a little bit of respect and turn the bloody music down, when people are doing press interviews. Ridiculous.
Certainly not be dancing to it. Let's have a look at the decision that he is talking about, Daniel. The question, I suppose, is Mo Salah getting there once before Guehi's intervention, or is Ruben Dias going to stop him getting in on goal? It's outside the box, we can say that.
Yeah, it's outside the box. He potentially does get there, but Ruben Dias's position was also good, so I think he could have gotten across, but the action happens outside the box, so maybe he does have a clean shot though. Then to be honest, when you look at it, he does have a clean shot.
I think it's one of those ones when it's against you.
This is the ruling, Jamie. I think, sorry to interrupt, I think we're just about to remind our viewers of what the actual wording is of this particular law. The considerations are the distance between the offence and the goal, general direction of the play, the likelihood of keeping or gaining control if he's not pulled back, and the location and the number of defenders. So we're not talking about a penalty here, we're talking about whether indeed Guehi should have been sent off. And this was 0-0 at this point, we should say as well.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision. It's one of them that frustrates you when it's for you, and I can totally understand Slot, because I think Pep Guardiola would probably say the same if it was on the other side, but he tugs him back. Now you're almost trying to pitch yourself. Mo Salah probably take another touch before he gets his shot away, and then would Diaz come across? And I just think there's probably enough doubt there to not give the red card. For me, when the decision was given, I thought it was just about right.
Certainly taking a big risk, isn't he, Micah?
Yeah, taking a risk, and it was excellent Guehi today. But I think I agree with Jamie. I think it's a yellow card. I think it's one where Diaz is getting across. I think the only one on the rule is gaining the ball. That's the rule. But I think Diaz, especially when we're sprinting back, when the ball goes ahead of him and the touch of Salah, I think Diaz would be there.
Would you think Salah would need to take a touch?
Salah
would he
gets the ball.
Get his body?
I
think Salah would try and get his body round and just hit it first time. Yeah,
I think he gets the ball. If we're going off the rules, maybe there's a contradiction between maybe 1 and 3, and they go, 4 supersedes 1 or 4 supersedes 2. Because for me, I think Salah gets the ball. Is it a yellow? Probably it is, but I think Salah does get the ball.
And I guess you have to say that it does have a big impact on the game because of circumstances at that point, the situation at 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is, and I go back to this, it's Mark Guehi actually can see Salah and he leaves him to go ahead of him. Again, that goes back to this high line City play. He's trying to catch him offside, really. Happens quite a lot. But Guehi, I thought, was fantastic in the game. That was the only real blemish on him. But he made an interception in the second half that I actually think kept City in the game. I'm not sure it was. I think Veer tried to play Mo Salah through.
Did he? Suck a leg out.
I think it was at 1-0. That was like Mo Salah was then certainly running through on goal then. And yeah, listen, he played really well, and that's probably another thing Liverpool can look at. Get that deal over the line at the start of the season.
Yeah, of course, a lot of Liverpool fans will be talking about that as well. The player who very much stood in their way today for Manchester City. So we've got 13 games left of this season. That's still more than a third, so a lot of points still to play for. If we're thinking about the Champions League, it's pretty much assured that it's going to be down the top 5 again this season. So how do you see this race, Daniel, right now from Liverpool's perspective?
I think that as the manager will definitely have decisions to make on stylistically how he wants to move forward. Of course, fitness issues will have their impact, but Chelsea and Manchester United at the moment are high on confidence, feeling themselves, and Liverpool I think their confidence level isn't where Chelsea's and Manchester United.
Chelsea won 4 out of 4, Man United won 4 out of 4.
Yeah, and I think if you look at how they set up today, maybe we could look at the positivity of the setup and go, okay, yeah, maybe they went for it because of the occasion and the fans. But I think if I can't see them playing that front. They need steel in midfield. They do. They concede too many counter-attacks. They concede too many opportunities. This is not... We're talking about Virgil van Dijk being the top of all... A lot of statistics, headers, this and that, intercept. It's like we don't... Virgil isn't up there usually. You know, defensively, they are missing something in there. I don't think the midfield right now, and this isn't me having a dig at them, but I don't think that they are defensive. I still think they're offensive-minded players in there. And I think they do need someone who's going to be like, my job is to just run around and make tackles and break play up, and that's what I need to do, and let the guys play. Because the attack and the creativity, there's no question there, but it's stopping the attacks, it's breaking it down, there's no defensive midfielder in there that this is my role, I'm out here to stop things. And that's what the best teams have.
So, Jamie, do you think then, in reality, Arne Slot has got to fight on to save his job here or get himself another season? Just paraphrasing what you said on Monday night in terms of Liverpool reaching the Champions League next season. Top 5 will be necessary unless they go and win the Champions League themselves.
If you said to me, do I think Liverpool are going to top 5? I would say no.
You don't think they will?
Not right now. I don't know. They'd have to have a huge upturn in form, and the ones above them, as Daniel just said, are in great form. But that was my opinion of the situation. That I think it'd be difficult to defend the manager, or for him maybe to stay in the job if you miss out on Champions League football, haven't won the title the season before. But it was really interesting. There was a round table discussion, I think, a few days ago, between Billy Hogan, the manager, and Richard Hughes about basically
with key journalists.
No, it was. I think it was for Standard Charter. It was for the club, and it went out. And in some ways, I think, and it was. They spoke about the issue they'd had this season, the difficulties, transfer-wise, and the problems that they had. And I think most supporters have looked at that and almost seen that as almost a statement from the club to say, stop talking about the manager.
He's our man.
He's our man, and he's going to stay, which is absolutely fine. So it doesn't really matter what we say on that. So I think I see the manager staying almost no matter what. I mean, if Liverpool went out very early in the FA Cup and the Champions League, that might be a different, kettle of fish. But I think that chat and some things you read about, sort of, there's a big article there in the Sunday Times. You read things, and obviously little information's getting given out at different times, and it looks like they're backing their man.
Don't you think, though, sorry, Dave, if Liverpool play like they did in the second half in terms of how aggressive they was, and we saw the chances, I think the second for chances created, they must put them shots away. There's got to be moments where they're going to get over the line. It was sort of the contrast of two Liverpool. You mentioned Liverpool, how they was in the first half. Man City dominated the ball. They sat back a little bit. I think Liverpool get into the Champions League. I think the manager's still figuring out what he needs. But if the player did it in the second half, I think they'll be fine.
But the strength and depth's a problem, isn't it? Because obviously we're talking about United, for example, no other distractions. Liverpool are still cup competitions. And the manager said in his interview there when he didn't feel he had to make changes because the team were doing well, which they were. Yeah. But when he did look over his shoulder, if he did want to make changes, the options weren't great, and that would catch him out.
I think Liverpool have won 5 league games since September. So we're almost sort of how's he going to fix, or what team's he going to pick, or what's he going to do? It's continually sort of asking questions.
Sunderland unbeaten at home still. That's Wednesday night, and then the next 3 are against teams who are currently in the bottom 4. But do you see hazards there, Daniel? Because they're games that Liverpool are expected to win. Any game in the Premier
League is going to be difficult. So we can't, all opposition have their tools and things of that nature. Liverpool don't have a problem creating the chances like we've talked about. It's about taking them. The players that they've got up front are top players. We're used to seeing Mo score 15, 25, 30 goals. He's on, I think, 4 Premier League goals right now, so he's not at the level that he's been at. Ekitike's come in, he's done what he's done. He's got his 10 goals. Gakpo, he's not been as consistent as he has in the past. Isak's out, and I think collectively, Wirtz is pitching in, but I wouldn't say he's a goal scorer, like he's going to rely on him to score goals consistently. So I think all in all, when you look at the attack, you got Rio on the bench, a young player, and a few other guys. They've got to step up. These are top level players we're talking about, guys that the chances that are being put on the plate for them, you would expect them to score them. And maybe it's collective confidence too.
Yeah, the confidence will certainly come into it. When you mentioned earlier, Jamie, about the late goals they're conceding, that'd be a reflection of the squad. Because we know a lot of games are won and lost in the last 10, 15 minutes, particularly in the Premiership, where it's physically hard and mentally tiring. And if you haven't got them options to come off the bench, that quality, when you compare, for example, Liverpool's bench at the moment to Man City's or Arsenal's, they're way behind. And that will reflect on the late goals and the option the manager wants coming on late in the game.
We'll just leave that there a second. That graphic, Jamie. This is what you were talking about before. The most joint most in Premier League history, winning goals conceded 90 plus minutes or later, and a lot of those other teams, I'm guessing, would have dropped out of the league.
Yeah, I mean,
in those seasons.
I mean, that's awful. And Roy's right. A lot of that is to do with the makeup of the squad and the strength on the bench. And anyone who's not a Liverpool supporter watching this, will be probably screaming at the TV, thinking, you spent 450 million in the summer, and they've got a point. How Liverpool have got themselves in a situation where you look at the squad and people talk about injuries. Liverpool have got not loads of injuries. Even when at the start of the season, when everyone's fit, you still got a couple of kids on the bench. The squad was never strong enough. I mean, as I said, you look at those sort of other teams, they're probably teams who got relegated. And Roy's right, games are won in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. But the amount of times, and it was a little bit different today, Liverpool have actually got an equaliser in those games. You think, go on and win the game. Bournemouth was a perfect example. And what, go 2-2, you go on and win the game. That's, every top team does that. The great teams who win titles do that. Liverpool did that last season. You don't think they'll lose the game from that position. It's a shocking statistic.
They have a fight on, Liverpool, no doubt.